Shelton from Delta Creative. Today I'm going to show you how to edit photos in Lightroom. For those of you who don't have the desktop app, you can download the mobile version on your iOS App Store or Play Store. It works about the same, so this tutorial will help you as well. Jumping into Lightroom, you'll be greeted by a screen like this. Maybe a little difference if this is your first time booting up the software, but it'll be similar. To edit our photos, we first need to import them, so make sure you're on the Library tab. And go over to the left side of your screen, you see the button Import. Click on it. Now select the source of where you want your where your pictures are. Mine is from the desktop and tutorial. In here you can choose the pictures that you want to import. Usually it's all selected by default. Now click Import. Here we can preview the pictures that we have imported. Let's set labels to ones that we want to edit. This will come in handy later. So maybe this one. Right click, color label yellow. Once that's done, switch over to the Develop tab. On the left here, you will see the Navigator panel. Click on it and it will show a tiny preview of your picture. This allows us to zoom in certain parts of the image with ease and zoom back out. Below the Navigator is the Presets panel. Presets are like filters that you can apply to your pictures. These are the ones that comes with the software. You can also create your own or import presets from other people by clicking this plus button and create or import. Below presets are snapshots, history, and collections. Those aren't important to us today, so we won't be talking about that. At the bottom here, we get to see all the pictures that we've imported just now. Again, you can quickly choose between pictures with this panel here. Now remember the label we put on just now? We can use that to filter images. So only the ones that are labeled as yellow will show up here, and those that are not, they are hidden. This allows for better workflow, so I recommend doing that. Over on the right is where all the magic happens. First up, we see histogram. This little graph here shows the light information of our image. From the left is the blacks, all the way to the right shows the whites. Below the histogram are several buttons. The one that we're going to use today is Crop Overlay. This tool allows us to crop our images. This padlock here locks the aspect ratio of the selection, so it scales proportionally to the original size. If we were to unlock it, we can size it however we want. Once that's done, click Done. That's it. The next panel is the Basic section. We do basic corrections to the image here, like toning down the image if it's too bright or correcting white balance and so on. The first thing we see is the white balance panel. Due to different lighting conditions, your image might either look too blue or too yellow sometimes. We fix this by adjusting this slider. Pushing it to the left will introduce blue to the picture, and pushing it to the right will introduce yellow to the picture. This color picker tool here is a great way to automatically do the white balancing process. We use this to select the part that we think should be white and let the software do the magic for us. This. Now for the tone, this is where you adjust the brightness of your photo. Exposure controls the overall brightness of the picture. However, the effects are quite drastic, so we usually adjust a small amount. Then we have contrast. This changes how much different tones stand out in the picture. We can see when the contrast is low, everything starts to smudge together. Setting it too high will not look good as well. It looks very overblown. I personally work with a lower contrast level. After that, we move to highlights and shadows. As the name suggests, highlights controls the brightest part of your photo. You can see here at the back, while shadows controls the darkest part of your photo. The whites and blacks work similarly, but it specifically targets white and black in the image respectively. The next panel is presence. It's more like a specified version of the contrast slider from before. Texture and clarity are sort of similar. I like to explain it like texture controls the contrast on the surface of the objects in the scene, like maybe here, hat, a sleeve, see that? While clarity controls the contrast between objects in the scene. Hope that makes sense. The haze is a bit hard to explain. On paper it does about the same as contrast, but it is used to remove quote-unquote haze from a photo. It makes the black darker and the whites brighter, and it also saturates washed out colors from the photo. Vibrance and saturation is another one that's hard to explain. Essentially, vibrance makes all the colors in the photo have equal weight. It makes unsaturated parts saturated. That's what it means. We use these settings to boost a bit of color into the photo. Saturation, on the other hand, controls the intensity of the overall picture. Simple enough? The panel after this is tonal curve. This might be one of the more powerful settings to play around with, but it's not the easiest to get a hold on at first. The basic of the curve is the bottom left represents the shadow, while the top right corner represents the highlights, and in the middle represents the midtones. The buttons here represents what color we are controlling. The first is actually parametric curve. We don't use that one. Next is the white one, which represents light, the brightness, and red controls the red. As you can see here, if you push this up, you introduce red into the shadows, and so on and so forth. Now we move on to HSL secondary. It stands for hue, saturation, and luminance. So let's say I prefer the red in the picture to look more yellowish. You can go to this slider over here, push it to the left, and you see that her lips turns orange. Conversely, on the other way, we'll turn everything purplish. Now for the saturation, let's say the yellow is it's too bland. I can push this up, and you can see her shirt turning more and more saturated. And for luminance, this controls the lightness of the color. So let's say I want to control the sky. The sky is too dark. Just boost it up and make it brighter, like this. You can also use this button right here to control from the image directly. Once you're done, click done, and let's move on. Next, we have split toning. This allows us to introduce colors into our highlights and shadows. The effect is very strong, so we'll only adjust it slightly. So here, let's introduce yellow to the highlights. Let's tone it back down. And shadows, let's add some teal. Tone it down. The balance allows us to choose how much of each color we want. you see what I mean when you get to try it yourself. Since this is a beginner tutorial, we'll go ahead and skip these and go straight to effects. In here, this is where we add vignette. Vignette is the darkening around the edges of the photo to draw more focus into the middle. We'll add some feather to it so it's less obvious. Now be mindful that too much vignette will look very cheesy, so try not to overdo it. Moving down, we have grain. Grain is like noise in the present day, but in terms of film photography. Some people like to do it for a more authentic look. I personally add just a little bit to give the photo some texture. See, if we turn this up, you see that it's become grainy. So let's just add a little bit. Finally, we have calibration. Imagine the HSL secondary from just now, but more powerful. We use this tool to calibrate colors that might be offset by the camera, or to use it creatively to calibrate your photo. There's a small tip. Bringing the blue primary to the left will give you that orange teal look. I recommend mastering the other panels before using this though. The rest is up to your own intuition. Go play around and have fun editing your photo. Now that we're done with our masterpiece, it's time to export our photo so we can post it everywhere and show off our skill. Select the image that you want to export, the bottom panel here. You can select more than one files by using shift click or control click. You should be able to know how to select files if you're using a computer. If not, please look up tutorials on that. After that, go over to the top here and select File and Export. Choose where you want your photo to be exported to. Let's choose Desktop. Now you can choose to put it in a subfolder. Let's name it Name. And don't mind the other options here and click Export. Okay, that settles it for today. In the description, I left some photos that you can edit by yourself. Make sure to tag me at Delta Creative to show off your work. If this video helps you in any way, like and subscribe, it helps me in return. And if I left something out or if you have any questions, feel free to comment below. With that said, thank you for watching.